Welcome to episode 5 of Making a Mentor with Cavelia. Gaz, what did you think of the episode?
It was a good one, you know.
Start that again. Welcome to episode 5. Welcome to episode 5 of Making... Welcome to episode 5 of Making a Mentor with Cavelia. Gaz, what do you think of the episode?
He just failed to do that about 30 times. And we're keeping it in some way. Do you know what? It was a good episode. Like, fair play to... We met him at Dave's event, right? And I really got chatting to him. We were drunk, is the truth. And I think what we liked about them the most is, well, one, they're self-produced. So or mainly self-produced. And two, they've got quite a lot of streams for like... Well, they've got more streams than anyone I know. They seem to be quite down-to-earth lads, and we're kind of focused on writing quite a lot and putting a lot of music out, rather than like one of the things they spoke about that I found most interesting was when they go into like, I'd rather put 20 tunes out that are a bit DIY.
Yeah, than spend all your money on one.
Putting one out, because effectively it is just going to get lost in the ether either way to some degree, unless you get very lucky. Yeah. So I think that attitude I find interesting, and it's clearly worked for them in terms of streams.
Yeah, well, most of their most listened to songs were all their self-produced stuff, right? And they sort of talked about how each time they do make a release, they sort of develop that sound and they see how things react once it's out there. But they've got a good mix as well of both being self-produced and going to a studio for it. So they've got the experience to back themselves up on what works for them. And
they talk about genre bending a lot as well. And I feel like, you know, one thing he says, isn't it, is like, people don't know what type of tune's going to come out of our sound next, but it always sounds like us.
I think that's interesting as well. Like, I think music nowadays, genres getting lost. It's getting completely lost. Look at Sad Night, look at Enter Shikari, look at these guys, look at Cavelia. Like, yeah,
I feel like genre is, but it's also like they're like genres becoming attached to like tempo.
Yeah, true.
So therefore, it's all going to merge anyway. Because if you make like, and I don't know, it's interesting. I feel like it comes from production being cheaper and easier to do.
I think another few points they did talk about as well that I found quite interesting was around their live sets and stuff, and the way that they actually manage themselves as a band, where they've got so far, has been very casual about things. So one's running the marketing exactly, like they all kind of just jump on. They've all got quite an equal part within it. We only had the 2 guys on, but obviously they had their full band, and all of them seem to have almost like an equal input into it, but it's not a rigid, regimented, like one of them's the manager, one of them makes all the posts.
And obviously that what I find interesting as well is one thing they said in the podcast, isn't it, is they'll all come together, he'll produce like the bones of a track, and then lead singer add lyrics on, and then they take it to the band and see how they can work it live. Like, I think that's going to happen a lot more in music from now than people, because obviously the benefit of that is if you're a drummer, you don't have to turn up 3 nights a week. You're busy. Doesn't that guy play in like 5-6 bands?
Yeah, he was saying.
So just, I mean, in a way, it's like the modern twist of like making music. Anyway, I feel like we're revealing too much of the podcast.
I know.
Do you think we should just go to it?
Probably, yeah, because I was about to just talk about even more, but we're revealing it all, aren't we? So
let's save some for the ears, for them to say themselves.
Cool. Let's get into it then. That's part 1 of Cavelia.
I'm Owen, and I play rhythm guitar.
And I'm Danny, and I play guitar and synth.
And do you write, or do you write as a group?
It's always different, isn't it?
It depends.
Every
song
writes one, I write one, or we write together.
Yeah.
But it's mainly you two.
It's always us two, yeah.
Yeah,
right,
it's always us two. I mean, other members have inputs and stuff like that, but it'll come like, I might be working, I'll have a verse pop into my head, and I'll see where that goes through the day, and then I'll take it to Danny, or Danny will send me a full song demoed, and he'll be like, words, please. So I'm like, alright, saying, yeah.
So are you the producer of the band, or you both produce?
Yeah. We both produce.
Yeah,
that's how we met. Like, we met through the bass player, because Jake's Danny's cousin. And I was talking to Jake. I just left my last band. I've been doing stuff on my own for about a year, and I was like, do you want to... He was like an ex-guitar player. I said, do you want to play bass for me? He said, yeah, I've got as a guitarist. And I went to your SoundCloud, and that's when I found there was like 6 songs. I found a tune that I thought it hit me straight away. I was like, oh, I heard a melody for it, so I robbed it off SoundCloud, wrote lyrics to it, just messaged him out of the blue. I was like, you don't know me, I've wrote words to your song.
Here's my audition.
Here's my audition. Do you want to make music together? And then because it was the pandemic, it was just like that. It was just back and forward through WeTransfer and.
No, it could have gone either way. That, to be fair.
Well, yeah, it could have gone tits up.
Was it?
Yeah.
Can I swear?
Yeah. You're not actually old friends then, really.
No.
No.
So you kind of met through music.
Yeah, it was weird the way it worked out though. The first sort of iteration of the band, it turned out we all went to the same high school but in different year groups. So there was like our old singer who was the oldest, and down to me who was like, I think I was year 7 when you was in year 10 or year 11.
Yeah, there's like old you now,
22.
22, I'm 26, so there's like a 4-year gap between us. I forget that he's younger than my younger brother. Like, it doesn't correlate sometimes.
Yeah, because you have this like relationship with music, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird. So do you like, when you're producing as a kind of duo, I suppose, and writing, is there any kind of, I don't know, is there anything interesting about that relationship? Because I suppose what we wanted to get you guys on for is, a lot of your stuff is self-produced.
Yeah.
And I suppose we wanted to know why and kind of how, I suppose, to some degree that got started.
Well, we both did music production at uni.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was kind of, and then the big thing of it was a lockdown. We didn't really have a choice other than to self-produce.
God, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause every studio was shut, and I mean the good thing about self-production is you can always, once you think you're finished, is a better way of saying it. You'll have an idea a week later, listening back to the demo, like.
You don't have to pay any more
Yeah,
time.
that's the thing. Then when you get a demo back of a studio, it can either be, oh my god, this is everything I heard in my head leading up to it, or it can be,
I just wish.
ooh, no.
Yeah.
So it gives us that advantage. I mean, I've got nothing against studios. We've had a sick time in a studio recently, but like it just gives you that freedom that you can't really get, and it helps knowing that, because like when the scene's changed a lot now, but back like when I was in my first bands that were releasing songs was 1 song a year. And it was like, we've got stuff coming, it's in the works, it's coming. Like, whereas when you're self-produced, it can be like song month done, next month new song done. Like you can be as fast or slow as you want. Like you might not have the know-how, but you've got, you can at least crack on.
Yeah.
What do you guys do in terms of releasing that then? Do you just release single by single, or do you sort of get a big bunch of stuff together and...
I don't know, that's the question. Honestly, we must be sat on, there's probably about
I think we've been announcing our album for
that's really the way we started.
since
We kind of started it as a project really, because the gigging thing wasn't even in mind really when we first did it. We were just making these songs. We didn't play it for about a year.
Well, yeah, because everything was backwards for us. Normally it's like, oh my god, you can play drums, I can play guitar, rehearse for a bit, let's do a gig. I've started writing my own tunes, let's get into a studio. For us it was like, we started at the studio stage, then it was like, shit, we need to play a gig for people to actually come and see us. So we had to like reverse engineer it all.
Did you find the band then after?
Well, I had Jake, who was like he's decent at bass, ex-guitar player, not picked up his guitar in years, but wanted to start something with me, so I was like, sick. That's how I've found bass players before. People who used to play guitar, and then they just get better as soon as they start playing. And then Jake introduced me to Danny, and then through, I think Jake again, we met our first drummer, and then he left, then through, we all knew, like Lewis, who's in about 6 bands in Wigan, so he was like, let's make it 7.
Yeah,
why not? He just fills gaps. Should just change his name to Polyfill, because that's all he does. He's a bass player in one band, he's a drummer in another. Like he can do everything.
So Jake's the guy with connections.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, he kind of got us all together, and then obviously I was just with him at first, and we had my mate singing, who's got a fucking unreal voice, but it just weren't working out. Like the genre styles, he wanted to do more like acoustic, soulful stuff, which really suits him, but it's not like the energy we wanted. Like being synth poppy and all.
Yeah.
A bit commercially, but then sometimes a bit like left field, like nothing other people are trying to do. But so then I was like, fine. If I'm writing the songs, I might as well sing them, because it saves time. Doing a demo, recording all the vocals, kind of producing them, sending them to someone else, learn them this way, then they're not singing it the way you hear it in your head, and so that was a big jump.
So was a lot of the production, you guys, like you said, over WeTransfer, was it you all just sitting in your rooms recording individually?
Kind of. And then it kind of changed when I moved to Manchester about 3 months in, didn't I?
Yeah.
And I got this big house for uni, and my room was huge, and we just turned it into a studio. We had a MIDI drum kit, we had the monitors, sick guitars, loads of amps. And like the whole band, it was class really, because everyone was in lockdown, you couldn't really go to the pub, but we'd all come to mine, have a drink, and we'd just sit there all night recording it. And I think that was the biggest thing with the production, we enjoyed it. Like, you know, a lot of people won't sit behind a computer for hours, but me and him loved doing it. And so we must have done like 20 odd tunes in that time. Like we'd sit there till 3 o'clock in the morning just recording vocals and getting bothered by the neighbours.
Like you probably know from editing stuff yourself, like we'd be sat there and there'd be like a hi-hat and it'd be 0.2 seconds like playback. It's not right, playback. It's not right. And the rest of the band who don't really produce are stood there going, can we go out for a beer? And we're like, nah, play back, just turn that snare up a bit, turn that snare back down a bit. Like,
I think that is the thing with self-production, isn't it? Is you don't know where to draw the line as well, because everything is always open, and I feel like you have, in a way, it's the best time maybe to be self-produced because of how easy stuff is to access. You don't have to go and get a load of like smarmy compressors, and I don't know if you did this, but you can also hack some stuff.
Nothing illegal.
I'll admit I hacked some stuff. I don't care what the police say. I'm sorry. But I suppose what I'm really interested in, I wonder if you'll be like as honest as you can. You know, when you're putting hours and hours into a song, do you know what I mean? And you've produced it yourself. You've not kind of got any other, not backing, but you've not kind of sent it to X engineer and you put that out. Do you ever get like? I'm just speaking from my own experiences. Do you ever get nervous about any of that type of stuff and nervous how it's going to perform in streams? And if you do, how do you deal with that, and what advice would you give me or anyone else who's going to put something out and is nervous about having something that they've worked so hard on kind of just get lost?
The best example I can think of off the top of my head there is Paul McCartney says "oh fuck" in Hey Jude playing the piano, and it's picked up through the piano mics, and not a lot of people know that. So what you're sat there dwelling on, going, that reverb's 3.5 seconds and it should be 3.6. No one knows. Like everyone thinks what you hear as the final. Like people, producers and stuff might have opinions on what they would have done different, and you might look back at, like we look back at our tracks and we're like, that bit could have been better. We could have recorded that differently. But as a random person coming in with fresh ears, you just got to put yourself in your own shoes when you hear a new song. Like you might hear the odd thing like, oh, I wouldn't have put that pause in. But at the end of the day, it's someone else's finished song, and you're just there to like enjoy it. No one's really like. I tell myself no one's picking apart my tune, but at the end of the day, like you're fighting with that all the time.
They're not in the way that you are, though, obviously.
No,
like
never.
Yeah.
People might make passing comments like, I don't know, like, oh, your snare's a bit loud in that tune, but no one's ever come up to us and said like, you know what I mean?
It's the output though as well that you get with it. Like how we said, we've just been to a studio and done a song. We did that 2 months ago. We sorted out about 5 months ago, and we've still not put it out. But self-producing, you can put a song out every week if you want. And I'd rather put out 20 lo-fi songs here that sound a bit rubbish compared to you know, paying a couple of grand to get a proper song done.
I mean, it's once you find like I don't know, your favourite one, then take that to the studio, and if that's what you really want to do and experience it, because you are sat with people who do have more knowledge than you and more gear and more of an idea, but as long as you can still have your own input and don't just let them run wild with your idea, because you don't want to get it back and be like, it's their song, it's not your song anymore. Like,
I know what you mean. It's interesting you say about like it's better to put 20 out than to put one out, and I kind of wonder like that's interesting. Do you think that maybe nowadays, particularly with streaming and stuff, it's better to put out like as many songs as you can and just get yourself out there, rather than spend loads of money as a band and put one out?
I think so, because it's such 100%. A fast changing sort of climate. Like the way the like music sounds, like, you know, the last couple of years kind of been 80s synth pop thing, and now it's going a bit grungy again. And that's always been our thing, hasn't it? We've got the wiggle room to kind of delve into everything we want, just because we can do. We can sit there one day and say, right, I want to make like a shoegaze song, or the next day we want to make like a garage sounding song. Whereas if you go to a studio, you don't have the time to experiment either.
And that's what a lot of local bands, they're painting themselves into a corner massively. Like a lot of like bands we've listened to at shows and stuff like that, and even like some of our mates, they have their sound, and you know kind of what's going to come out next, and it will be a good song, like, but you know what it's going to be. Whereas with us, we like Danny just said then, one day you might wake up and think, I want to make a fucking Mosher tune, me. Like, do it. It's still going to sound like us. Yeah, it's still going to sound like us, but it's just slightly heavier. Or like, we've got a tune called Glow that's not out, but it's like Easy Life. But then if you were to listen to them two songs back to back, you'd think, fucking, that's two different bands. This.
Yeah. I suppose that genre is kind of merging a little bit, maybe. And absolutely, I have an interest whether it's to do with, you know, I wonder what you two say about this because you're kind of both. But you know, the classic kind of songwriter, particularly in a band setting, and the classic producer, maybe 20 years ago, were really separate roles. And now I see a lot of songwriters online or that I meet, because they're already in their head kind of, they're starting to produce or they're starting to at least get involved with some kind of looping platform to try and build their ideas up. Like, do you maybe think that's part of it, that kind of you're writers and producers, so one day you're like inspired by wanting to write something that's maybe because of the way you want to produce it? Like, is the line blurring it, or does it blur for you two?
I think a lot of our songs have come from production, like other than maybe like Euphoria and Seasons, which you wrote before I even met you.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I've made a song with, and it's just a blank slate and he writes over the top of it. So it's never really, I don't think lyrics really ever come first, do they? Most of those stuff.
No, I mean, I've got like 2,000 notes on my phone of lyrics. Some are verses, some are finished songs with no idea what to do with them. Some are just like words, like just random words. I thought, I'll put that in fucking somewhere. But like, it is a lot easier for me to write. If you was to send me a blank thing, or if I was to sit at a computer messing about and come up with a blank slate and then just add lyrics on top, I do find that a lot easier. But then sometimes you just have weird moments, like 3 o'clock in the morning, you're just trying to go to sleep, and then you're like, oh shit, no, that would sound good. And then like, I've got voice notes on my phone of me just like going, like humming a dead shit tune, or like whispering it because my bird's asleep, and I'm like just trying to, I'll never remember this. Like,
I feel like we should do a thing on the podcast where we get writers to play a random voice note, because everyone says that. Some are so embarrassing.
I will smash my phone if I do that.
I remember you used to send me notes like that, to be fair, and it'd be at stupid o'clock in the morning, you'd be like, right, I've made these 8 bars, listen to how good they are, and like, right, sound. I used to look forward to those though, because like...
especially when you're in a band setting, you can get... That's what I think special is, you can have that relationship where there's people that I could send voice notes like that to, and there's people that I couldn't. My mum heard it, she kicked me out of the house. But like, do you know what I mean? There's certain people that can fill that role. I wonder if we could get onto Spotify and streaming and what your opinions are on it. You know, Dave had a kind of negative view on Spotify, and we kind of had a little bit of a chat about that. I wonder what you guys think about the way music industry's changed into streaming. Do you think it's positive, negative?
I think one massive thing it's done, which I always think about, and one of the things we kind of take in when we're making music, is I think the album's kind of dead. There's no, you don't really get a cohesive album anymore, and that's because of playlists. I think, you can have your playlist full of every song ever, and you go from like classical music to R&B to whatever, and I think that's kind of leaking into albums now, where albums are so, all over the place, the genre bending, and I think playlists are kind of the reason behind it.
I mean, that takes us back to how we write as well.
Yeah.
Like, just my opinion on Spotify is like, from a consumer point of view, it's class. It's unreal. Like, every song I hear a song walking past the Starbucks or something, you can Google the lyrics or use Shazam, and then it's in your playlist and you can listen to it for the rest of the day. From a creative point of view, we can't even afford a cup of coffee yet, and we've got 11,000 streams, something like that, across all that stuff. Like 11,000 people buying it on iTunes for 99p. It's a big difference to 11,000 people listening on Spotify. Like,
I know what you mean. I suppose that's what's interesting though. How would you buy that song for 99p if you were to hear? You said you were walking through Co-op or whatever, and you hear a song. Do you think you'd spend that?
That's what keeps me awake at night.
Do you see what I mean? Because I find it. I suppose because you guys, I know it said 11,000, but say one of them's got say 3,500.
Yeah.
How many of those do you think you could have got without Spotify? And this is where my dilemma is in my head, is like, what is it doing? Like, because it's showing us to people that maybe we wouldn't have been able to find, but it doesn't really have that much to offer you other than that it will show you them. I don't know. I find this topic very interesting.
It gets you in front of people, definitely. And again, that's kind of our goal. Every song's slightly different genre, gets us in a slightly different playlist. Like, but then, like you say.
So do you shoot for Spotify playlists as a band, like try and get on it?
Yeah, but
submitted, but
I mean, we keep
it's
submitting.
not
We keep submitting to them, but they don't seem to put us anywhere.
For someone who's trying to get themselves submitted, where do you go to do that sort of thing?
We do it all. I mean, once you start loading to Spotify, like you've got to get a distributor. So you like, there's Ditto, there's DistroKid. Yeah, we use Ditto. It's like £20.
Using them again now.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to last time.
Well,
oh yeah. Well,
what happened?
Oh.
5 different release dates.
We kept uploading and ignoring the terms and conditions that I took upload. So it's like no text on the front, no logos, no nothing. So like, so we uploaded once and it was like no text, big red flags. Like fine, fuck it, took the text off. Tried it again, no logos. Like, how does it know? So it's not a logo off.
It's just on the image.
This is the exact problem I've just had with Ditto. Is that they've told me that there's 0.5 seconds of silent audio.
Yeah,
we had
that.
I won't mind. I've put a date. I'm never putting a date out there again. So I've had to go back on a date. So I'm glad you have. But I'm gonna have to stick with Ditto. Like, I'm not gonna be able to swap it.
I'm not gonna lie though. Out of all of them, Ditto's the best one. I think personally.
We didn't even know the song came out by the time it come out. I think it told us like
I think it just
3rd of
came
January,
out.
and then it was New Year's Eve. And I got a notification saying Cavelia released a new song.
Well, they have humans reviewing it. I didn't know this, and I don't think CD Baby and DistroKid do. Yeah. So maybe that's why I found the process is quite long.
Yeah.
But maybe it is because, and he said, how did they notice? Maybe it's because it's actually a person that's looking at it.
Yeah.
So it has positives and negatives, I suppose.
Yeah, because there's no way, like, I don't think an AI could have picked up on the fact that that was a logo in the corner. How could it tell that? Like, well, I mean, we use a logo that, since we made it our logo, we've seen it everywhere in tattoos, shops, posters, other people's advertisements. So that needs changing. But I don't know. It was mad. It was just picking up on all this stuff. I think we paid like 3 times to resubmit the track.
You just repay every time you resubmit.
That was the annoying thing.
Well, it was telling us. You'd think not, but
there's a yearly option, isn't there?
There's a yearly option. Well, right, that's the thing. You have a yearly option. You can upload as much as you want, but you can pay to get it entered into the charts. So that's like £25. So I did that, and I did it again. And I was like, I'm not doing it anymore. So then there was 3 more goes after that, so I'm glad I didn't. So I think it ended up costing like £50 in total just to get that song out.
Have you learned from that though? So like the next tune that you
no
release,
text.
Yeah, like so has it gone down from 5 resubmissions to like 3 or?
Oh no, it's been fine. Every other one has been one simple take.
It's like you said though, don't put a date on it. I think that's the main thing until we know it's solid.
Yeah, I think that is a good piece of advice. Maybe we should say to people is if you are putting something to your publisher and you've decided on a date and you've put that date to your publisher, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's your date until somebody comes back and confirms that.
Yeah, because it'll tell you that's your date, but within 24, 48 hours it can just take that all away from you, and then you're like...
That's what it did.
It's 10 days before, I don't know if you know, they can do it anything up to 10 days before the date you've set. Well, that's what happened with us.
We did all the posts, we did all the promotion.
The
day it's meant to come out, and they said
bastards.
One of the silence one was the day before. I was like, oh my god,
Silence.
there's just one guy.
My birthday
There's just one guy at Ditto who's got a vendetta against us. It's like, fuck this band.
Going to your Spotify streams though, so like I noticed on the amount of views that you guys get, there's a few songs there that have almost like double the amount of streams than the rest of them. From like a marketing perspective, did you do anything differently to push that song out?
I don't think so.
It was the first one, Euphoria. That's what you're talking about.
Yes, it was Euphoria.
So that was the first song we ever put out, so we had a big build up for it. Everyone was kind of excited to hear it because we had all our mates backing it up. And then we kind of started spitting stuff out, and I assume people just, and we didn't really promote stuff properly. Like that last song we did, Don't Wait, I think we did a post like the day before.
I mean, we did like a big countdown for that, but my thing, I've always said it since we started the band, is people don't like slow songs. Unless you're Lewis Capaldi or Adele, people do not like slow songs. Like, I don't know, unless people are telling you to listen to it, like there's a big trend going on behind it, somehow you catch some momentum and it starts like snowballing. All our songs with the least plays are our slowest songs.
To be fair, they're the ones we can't play gigs either as well.
As well, yeah.
3 big ones that we've got are kind of 3 that we do towards the end of a set at a gig, and the other 2, like, that's kind of the disadvantage of self-producing. We get so carried away that we can't recreate it live. So we don't do them, like, Don't Wait and that's the other one.
But I think the thing is as well, look, like, if you hear an energetic song, you're 100% more likely to put that in a playlist over slow tunes. Like, song that's energetic makes you feel good, makes you feel it's in a major key, you feel happy. That's going to win people over 10 times than a sad song in a minor key, moody, deep lyrics. Like, I always feel like I love both. I love all kinds of music, and I've got playlists dedicated to both, but that's how I've always seen it. Like, in every band, I call them cigarette songs, because you play them live, you look up from the mic after you finished it and there's 2 people stood there because everyone's outside smoking and they don't come back in because they're outside. So you need to keep the energy high at your gigs to keep people inside and involved.
Never thought about that, that's so interesting. I suppose it goes back to what you said before about the kind of like having to put 22 and the album being dead. It's like back in the day, you wanted to sculpt your sad songs within your album, and people gave your album weight. And I feel like now you're in this world where, like, actually it's kind of like TikTok music. It's like you've got to grab people's attention straight away.
But that's it.
And be energetic every time.
Just like
if you start TikTok slow, it's over.
Watching a series on Netflix, as soon as you finish it, you don't go back to it, you want the next one, don't you?
You TikTok, you hit the nail on the head. People's attention spans are short, but you do need to be able to like step on the brakes a bit in a set. Like, start high, you do need to dip a bit, but be careful how long you dip for and how much of a dip it is. Like, if you go from absolutely rattling your guitars and drums to you sat on a grand piano playing some Elton John slow, sad, teary-eyed song, you're going to lose everybody in the room. So you've got to dip it a bit. You still have you still got to keep people's attention there, because as soon as you... Like, if you've ever seen that video of Arctic Monkeys performing in 2005, and they're playing like every song at like 2 times the speed, and everyone's sweating. If they just stopped and did 505 in the middle of that set, I think everyone would have fucked off.
Back in the day,
like, honestly, because if you've got people in the band around there, like, actually genuinely loving your tunes, as soon as they have the chance of someone to grab them and be like, "Oh, I'm going bar," while we're not dancing, we're not doing anything, like, you've lost them. And that's it.
Makes you realise as well, maybe, doing 2 albums that were more like, that then they earned people. And were able to do stuff like Humbug, where that was a little bit more experimental, people would still back it.
But look at, there's that viral video of Lord, and I remember when I went watching, the first time I ever watched 1975, when they first, like, were getting big at the Academy. Like, there's that video of Lord, and she's trying to do a slow, sad song.
Oh, she tells everyone.
She's telling everyone to shut the fuck up. And then it happened with Matt Healy. He's on doing what's that first slow one off the first album?
The first 1975 album.
Yeah. Is there somebody you can watch over you? That one where he's on piano on his own. He kept stopping and going, "Shut up!" to the crowd, because you've stopped. You've lost the energy. Everyone's there for robbers and sex. Nobody's bothered about. Nobody wants to hear whine. And I love all those songs, and I love writing slow songs, but you've really got to fucking know when to play them, because you could lose everyone in a room in a split second.
I think that's pretty good advice,
Yeah, I think in my last band we played a gig, and I can't remember the band's name, and they were smashing it. They were like The Neighbourhood, like that type of vibe. I was loving it, and then he just turned around and went, "This song's about suicide," and it all just got dead dark and dead moody, and it was just like him and the guitarist, and I just saw everyone trickling out. I was like, "Mint that, mate, you've just ruined everyone's Friday night." Like, you know what I mean? You know when someone gets you in a tube in the smoking shelter and they're just going too deep, and you're like, my night's fucked here. you don't want to be suddenly everyone's on cloud 9 dancing to your pocket tune, and then you're just like, right, this song.
I think as well, you don't want to tell your audience to shut up, like, maybe.
No,
I think, like, fair play, but I don't think.
You can say it once. You can be like, "Yeah, we're going to take it down a bit here. If everyone could just pay attention."
Yeah.
But if people are talking, let them fucking talk.
Yeah.
But again, if they're talking, you've lost them.
Yeah.
So
if the song's good enough, they're going to shut up on it.
Exactly. So that's why, like, if you're stopping it to do, like, I don't know, what's the fucking Mega Oasis tune?
Like Cigarettes Now.
Somewhat slow.
Oh, like
Don't Look Back in Anger, right?
Yeah. Like, if you slow down and did Don't Look Back in Anger as a small town band, or even Champagne Supernova, which was like one of the first, If you slowed down and did that, people are gonna be like, holy fucking shit. But if you slow down and do something fucking god awful about your pet dog died when you were sick, like, people are gonna fuck off and be ready for that. Just because they paid to come in doesn't mean they're not gonna fucking stay.
Thank you for listening to part 1 of Cavelia. If you liked what you heard, check out part 2 coming out next week.